What is up, ladies and gentlemen? And yes, welcome to the latest edition of Tuesdays with Turbo, even though today's Thursday. But you know what? I wanted to get this video out there today because I know there are a lot of folks out there that are partaking in this certain activity and side hustle, if you will. And I want to make sure that I get this out there because we're getting to that point in the year where your gardens are you're going to be starting to harvest some vegetables. So I wanted to put this out there to kind of let everyone know exactly what they need to do if they do want to get a farm stand going. And here in Marcellus, we see these all around, whether it's in front of someone's house. We see, here soon we'll be seeing the sweet corn out by the road for sale, or even, and I think a lot of this, the more we kind of get into this self-sufficiency, homesteading type situation, we're going to see these farm stands kind of pop up more and more and more. And I quite frankly think it's awesome because most everything is better when it's fresh, when it's homemade, and especially when we're talking about vegetables that they're grown organically, and how it's local. It's local, and if that person owning said farm stand does throw some crafts or something in there to kind of give it that cool little vibe and feel, why the heck not? Why the heck not? It just makes for a better experience for me and you. And my wife and I have started one of these, so I'm pretty aware of what what should happen and kind of what needs to happen because we've taken the steps to do this. So we've been the guinea pig. So let me kind of guide you through and kind of talk about the insurance or coverages that you should have for your farm stand if this is something that you're looking to get into. Now, before we jump off, I just want to throw this out there. The coverages that we're going to talk about are not expensive. Are they more than $100? Yes. But if you take a look and kind of see what, and this is going to vary from person to person as far as what they want to cover for said farm stand, but for the value that you're getting, for the peace of mind, just knowing that when you are doing something like this, 9 times out of 10, your homeowner's policy is not, or I'm not going to say is not going to provide coverage, but when we're talking about making money, especially when it's on your property, it's always better to be safe than sorry. So for a little extra a month, it's something my wife and I decided that was absolutely necessary, just so we can kind of sleep better at night. And if you're just doing vegetables is one thing, but when you start to introduce, baked goods and crafts and things of that nature, it does tend to get a little bit more hairy, or the risk becomes greater. But before we jump into the nuts and bolts of this, let me introduce myself if you don't know me. My name is Ryan Turbo Jackson, and I am your insurance resource. And today is one of the segment days. It is Hats Off with Turbo. And this is a segment where I like to kind of get in here and talk a little bit about business insurance and what each profession really needs when it comes to covering not only the liability, but everything that they really need. And this really isn't, now granted, there are people that do this full time, and if you do this full time, this is even more important. But for someone that does it just on the weekends, like my wife and I, this is going to be an educational video for everybody. Now, when I was talking about when it comes to what you're selling in your farm stand, that is very, very, very important. If you're looking at just doing vegetables, no harm, no foul. And we'll kind of get into the different coverages here. But like I said, once you start getting into the baked goods, I have provided a link to the Michigan Cottage law. So please read up on that because there's a lot of things, and some things you're like, why can I make this and not that? So I did, and for those of you that don't know, let me kind of give you what the Cottage law basically means. And this is from the website that I linked in the description, or in the comments. This is directly off Michigan.gov, so it is legit. Cottage foods are specific types of foods that you make in an unlicensed kitchen of your single-family domestic residence within the state of Michigan. Not all foods can be sold as cottage foods. They must be non-potentially hazardous foods that do not require time and or temperature control for safety. You must also store your cottage foods at your home following safe, good handling guidelines outlined in the Michigan food law to prevent adulteration caused by insects, household chemicals, water damage, insanitary conditions, etc. So basically what it is that you're using the kitchen in your home essentially as a commercial kitchen. But it's not a commercial kitchen because it hasn't been inspected. As I guarantee most of us don't have fire suppression hanging over our ovens in our kitchen. So to take the next step to be more of a commercial kitchen, there's a whole lot. That's a whole other ball of worms that we're not even going to get into. But I did want to. I kind of did want to give that kind of disclaimer, so that again you are better prepared and more aware of kind of what you're getting into if you did want to start selling baked goods and other things besides just veggies, fruits, things of that nature. And at that website, there is a PDF, which if you don't want to go to the website, drop a comment down below and I will send you the kind of quick and easy down and dirty cheat sheet as to what you can and cannot make in your in bake or prepare in your kitchen to put in the farm stand. So let me know if you do want that PDF, because like I said, it is quick, down and dirty. But if you are looking at doing this, there is a little course you can take to get a certificate that you can even prominently display in your farm stand to kind of make you a little bit more credible. So let's jump into what coverages do we need to make sure our farm stand is insured from about as many risks as we can kind of think of. So let's get started with the first one. Like I said, we're talking farm stand insurance here, ladies and gentlemen. And the first one's going to be general liability. General liability, this is going to cover trip and fall injuries, accidental property damage, and some product liability. Product liability getting into, like we talked about the cottage law thing, especially if you're baking anything. This is essential because anytime you think even spoiled produce can fall into this, as well as foodborne illness and kind of just things that go into that category. Let's see here. Let's go on to number 2. We talked about product liability. Food safety equals high risk. So this is a must when we're talking about something like this. The next one is commercial property. This is your physical stuff, whether it's tables, tents, signage, coolers. If you're balling on a bigger budget than us, a POS system, even if it's a mobile stand or a pop-up stand, or if it's something permanent, commercial property can cover that for theft, vandalism, wind and hail, weather, anything like that. So if you do have a lot of money wrapped up into your stand itself, this is the coverage that we want to make sure we get on that policy. Number 5 is inland marine, and again, this has nothing to do with boats or fishing. This has to do with, again, more stuff. Portable property in transit, coolers, cash registers, canopies. This is especially important if the stand is moved frequently or set up at farmers markets, festivals, or even on the roadside. So this is, again, please don't let the inland marine part of this fool you. Again, it's just one of those insurance terms that I really have no idea why they call it that. But it's been here for how many years? It's probably not going to change just because I'm going to gripe about it. So whenever you see marine, especially in this particular case, it has nothing to do with boats, nothing to do with lakes, nothing to do with fish. So keep that in mind. The next one here, let me scroll down to my notes here. The next one is business personal property, especially if you do have crafts. Let me get to my craft thing here. Yes, this is especially this is more of the craft situation rather than um, the baked goods or even vegetables. But this is if your crafts are damaged, stolen, or lost, whether it's on site, in transit, depending on how much inventory you want to carry, this could be a very important coverage to have, especially. And I'm not saying you should do this, but if you do leave your inventory at the farm stand, whether it's locked or what, overnight, the exposure to stuff being stolen or damaged does increase just because people are knuckleheads. So keep that in mind. And this one here, this one kind of is, I'm not going to say is the most important, but if you are looking to take your goods, whether baked goods, veggies, crafts, to a farmer's market or craft fair, some of them require proof of liability. And this business policy is the thing they're looking for. Now, sometimes they'll let you just bring in your home insurance, and which I don't recommend. I don't recommend at all. But if you're looking to do it correctly, this is the route to go. Because this is going to provide a liability that is completely separate from your home insurance liability. And anytime we're starting to stretch your liability over multiple locations or for multiple purposes, such as this, I tend to get a little weary. This is something that I'm not saying that is bad, but anytime we can kind of take the gray area out of situations and make them more concrete, black and white, I'm always a fan of, because once you get into the gray area, you're entering into something that could or could not be covered. So again, this is kind of foolproofing that, kind of making it more concrete, being like, okay, and it's gonna make you look more professional. It's going to make whether it's the people hosting the craft fair or the farmers market, be like, okay, Ryan kind of has his poop in a group, so they might be more apt to give you, a preferential spot, or kind of a higher on the list of kind of OGs or people they want to take care of, just because you're operating more like a business instead of just. And I'm not saying either way is incorrect. I'm just saying if I'm going to be running a business and putting myself out there, I want to make sure I'm looking, acting, and just doing everything as close to the vest as I can to make me and my farm stand and my veggies and everything like that. The more professional you are, the more sought after you're going to be. Why? Because people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And having stuff like, taking the extra step to do this gives people more of a reason to trust you. So, and like I said, at the end of the day, for what you're getting, it is not super expensive. It is not. Now, again, getting back to the craft fair farmers market, some companies will do like a weekend, like a 2 or 3 day, very, very short policy. But if you're looking at doing more than one, by the time you do 2 or 3 of these, very short term policies, you could have paid for a whole year. So depending on how many you're going to do, it could honestly be way cheaper, and I would highly recommend going the year route, rather than these little tiny snippets. Just because, like I said, in the end, you're going to save yourself some money. And let's say you at the last minute hear of a farmer's market or craft fair that you'd like to participate in, and you cannot get a hold of your agent to get one of these short-term policies. And if they're requiring it, you're going to end up not being able to go. But if you have this this long-term annual policy, you can do as many as you want throughout the whole year. So again, another bonus there. Another bonus there. So let's take let's just do a quick summary, and some of them I didn't hit on. That if this does pertain to you, you're running it a little bit larger of a scale than kind of what I had in mind, but I also want to throw these out there as well. So the first one, we have general liability. That's going to cover slips, product claims, customer injury, product liability, food-related illness or allergic reactions, property/inland marine coverage, tents, tools, displays, inventory, things of that nature. A couple of them that I did not discuss is commercial auto. So if your vehicle is used for deliveries or hauling, this is where we would want to do a commercial auto. Business interruption, lost income from covered shutdowns, such as weather or something like that. Again, running at a little bit larger scale than what we are, but again, if you are doing it at that scale, even better. Work comp, if you have employees, bingo. And then, like we talked about, the event specific liability. And I say all of that to say this, because bottom line, a farm stand is a business. So treat it like one. A solid business owner's policy could bundle most of all of this at a lower cost, and a good agent, like me, should tailor the rest. So bottom line, that the more you treat this like a business, the fewer holes you're going to open yourself up to a lack in coverage, and the more professional you're going to appear. And I cannot hammer it home enough. Folks buy things from people they know, like, and trust. That's the bottom line. And I would go so far as to put I guess you can't really put like a declaration page or something like that, but somewhere in your farm stand, say that you are insured. And just, again, especially if you're going the baked goods route, highly recommend that. And again, if you are going down the baked goods route, make sure you check out the link in the comments and if you're watching this and you're not from Michigan and you want to check out your state, just Google Cottage Law, Cottage Law, your state. And if your state participates in this program, then they should be able to give you a link to the information that you need. And again, if you do want to just have me send you over the quick and easy, down and dirty PDF of what you can and can't sell out of your Cottage Law kitchen, let me know and I can do that as well. And that is it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you next week, and everyone have a great one, and I'll see you again.